Quishbilly Huddersfield Town! The most famous goal of Quishbilly's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is! Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Ruby and Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed! Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Good evening and welcome to the Andy Takes That Chance podcast in association with Magic Rock Brewing. The Terriers slumped to 2 tepid defeats in a week, which leaves me slumped in my chair, sulking. But how do the rest of the panel feel about this past week? Joining me, Matt Shaw, is Richard Kosi Kosmala, the K-Maker, Andy K, and Dan Pozza Porritt. Good evening, chaps. How are we doing tonight?
We're good, mate. We're good. We're all at Peterborough, aren't we? I've never been as happy for Peterborough United. Up the post. We were slagging them off last time we were on. Up the post. McAntony, Barry Fry. Cheers, guys. We love you.
Yeah. Not sure I'd go that far, but one thing we do love, though, let's segue that pause. One thing we do love is Magic Rock Brewing because they sponsor this fine podcast. If you guys want to get 10% off an order with Magic Rock Brewing, then use the code AHTTC10 at the checkout on magicrockbrewing.com. Okay, let's get into brass taxes. Huddersfield Town 0, Bournemouth 3. I'll say a little bit, have a sulk, and then pass it over to you guys. Let us know online what you thought of the game as well on Saturday. Okay, so for me, we started against the West Brom game, really. I'm going to roll it back to the West Brom game. It was a big 8 days. We knew it was going to be a big 8 days, and it had put us in the hunt for the automatics, or could potentially put us in the hunt for the automatics, even though it had still been a long shot or an outside chance. We've ended the week, and people are now focusing on whether we've enough to get 6th rather than 2nd. It's, typical. It was always thus with Huddersfield Town, isn't it? The Carlos Coaster dipping and bending all over the place. So the game itself, Town lined up with a bit of a 4-4-1-1 system with Daniel Sanani playing off Danny Ward up front, but from the off, Bournemouth really, to me, looked like they had our number. They obviously studied the game against Millwall, and all our weaknesses were really exposed, I thought, in particular in that first half. Billing himself playing as an advanced 8, pushed off onto the left-hand side quite a lot and in behind the space behind John Russell. And Bournemouth doubled up on Ollie Turton, who didn't really have a particularly good game, or tripled up when Thomas dropped back. Town had some really serious issues, I thought, tracking the runs of the left-back, Zamura, who was outstanding on the day. Thomas really struggled to track him, which was symptomatic of our issues against Millwall as well with Scott Malone, whereby he constantly got in behind. Carlos, to be fair, spotted it, moved Daniel Sinani to the right instead of Thomas, and put Thomas as a 10, if you like. But again, Town really struggled to really follow those runs, and then all of a sudden we were very guilty of wasting basic possession. Simple 5-yard passes, going astray. Overall, to me, Town looked mentally and physically jaded. Is it just a case of games catching up with us? Do we need that rest? Do we need the international break, or has that West Brom penalty acted as a bit of a lightning rod moment which has affected the entire squad mentally? Could you even go back a little bit further to the Nottingham Forest game, whereby in a particularly big game we've picked a side that would be classed as a weakened one? Has that mentally affected us, or could we be in danger of completely overanalyzing the entire thing, and the guys just needed a rest after a couple of poor games? Yeah, really. Let us know in the comments. I was really gutted. My dislike of Bournemouth Football Club, or should we say the Salford of the South, has always been particularly well documented. Guys, it just wasn't our day, was it, against Bournemouth? Pause. I'll turn over to you. Not a great day, really.
No, mate. Terrible, really, wasn't it, to be honest? You said quite a lot there in regards to analysing, what Bournemouth did, what we did or didn't do. And to be honest, sometimes it doesn't matter what they do or what we do. If the first and foremost you don't go into it with a belief that you can get something out of a match, you're not going to. And that's how I felt yesterday watching that team. Yeah, we've gone 17 unbeaten, which will have taken a lot out of us. We've had a tough trip down to Millwall. You said let's roll back to West Brom, so let's go from there. We absolutely battered West Brom for 80 odd minutes. We got a dubious penalty and then a bad mistake from Horgan. All of a sudden it's 2-2. Confidence can be knocked from that, but the overall performance, I came away from that thinking, do you know what? That's proven to me that we have actually got the ability to get second. Obviously, Millwall came up. They're not an easy place to go ever, and I think they were 5 wins in a row or something ridiculous like that before they played us, or certainly not lost for 5, something like that. So we're never going to be an easy game down at Millwall, especially midweek. Coming on back of that, disappointment at West Brom. And you know what town fans are like. They generally tend to be glass half empty types. But I were really looking forward to Bournemouth. I thought, do you know what, this is a massive opportunity to put this right, to get a victory, and to maybe shut up these sort of fans who are almost waiting for us to mess this up. There seems to be a large percentage, which I find really strange, that almost want us to mess this up so they can turn around and go, I told you we weren't that good. I told you Carlos wasn't that good. I told you players aren't that good. And I just don't really get that. But unfortunately, on Saturday, they were, potentially proven right, because that performance were not great. We seemed, as you said, Matt, knackered. I think you can overanalyze it, and I think potentially people will. I think this international break will be an absolute godsend. 2 week off. I've noticed social media today, players gone away, so they've obviously been given some time away. Quite a lot have gone together, which shows me, that's a good thing, I think, team spirit, bonding, all that sort of stuff. Some have gone with families, which is brilliant to see, because they obviously all get along outside football. And I just think a little bit of time away from football, 4 or 5 days, however long it is, will be a good thing. Reset the mind, reset the body, and come back with that, attitude of, now. We've obviously got the Hull on the Friday, and then after that we've got a massive 8 days. Luton, QPR, Borough, all in 8 days, I think it is. And I think those 3 games will obviously define where we end up at the end of the season. I think, like I say, you can overanalyze it. I thought the first 10-15 minutes we did look good. We almost pressed too much. I think we were trying to get in at Bournemouth, and there were 2 or 3 passages of play that we were that determined to get to the man with the ball that when it moved, and players peeled off, and they kind of just went through us at will. We look at the team that they've got. They've got a great team. It's Premier League quality almost in its makeup. They've spent a hell of a lot of money. But we've seen in recent weeks that teams like Peterborough can get at them, teams like Blackpool can get at them, Derby had a good go at them, so they're not beyond the capabilities of a team like Huddersfield Town to get a result against them. I just think, given the run that we've had, tiredness, as you said, Matt, tiredness in physical ways, tiredness in mental ways, I think on one hand, like I say, we're really looking forward to it, because I thought it had a really good opportunity, but now obviously we've had the match, it was probably just a little bit of a bridge too far for us to put in yet another really good performance. I think yesterday, for time to get something out of that match, you need 11 players to have a 7, 8, 9 out of 10 to get something, and unfortunately we didn't have any that even got close to that. Everybody was sort of around about 5, and if everyone plays like that, any team in this division against Bournemouth will get put to the sword. And unfortunately we're our turn on Saturday, but yeah, let's get this international break done, let's get players a rest, let's come back, and let's have a positive mindset, because although second is probably now out of us reach, take a step back, it probably were anyway, wasn't it? I know we're going to sort of talk about the crowd and everything like that a little bit later on down the line, but as fans, we need to remember we're still in a playoff hunt here. If we were mid-table or down near the bottom, I could understand that performance yesterday from players and fans alike, but we're still right in the mix. We've got some massive, is there 7 games left? We've got a massive 7 games now, 7 cup finals to cement that playoff spot, and then who knows what can happen after that. So yeah, I've probably waffled on a little bit there, but I think the take-home message for that is to try to forget about this last match for a couple of weeks, and the old Huddersfield Town statement goes, we go again against Hull, and if we get a positive result there, which will take us into those 3 games, and who knows what could happen after that.
Go on, Andy.
Yeah. What you just said then, Pos, about belief. I said that to my lad. He said, "Look, we just don't look like we believe that we can make anything. We look tentative." You're absolutely right about that. Those 8 days defining the season. The stat that I'm not much of a stat man, but the one that I picked up, that we didn't pick up any bookings. That's because we couldn't get near them. That we've just had that. We've just been beaten by a far superior side. We've played really well. We've not been able to get close to them. We've not been able to do what we'd normally do because of the speed of the ball moving around. Just not mark it down to experience. It's one of them things. We've had a dip. We've had 4 games where we've not played particularly well, apart from the West Brom game. I agree that we battered them for 85 minutes, but that stuff happens. We've just got to get over it, and like you say, get them going off and do whatever they're doing, Disneyland and the Lake District and wherever they get away. We're back to being good humans again, and then they'll be all right. They'll be fine.
Disneyland and the Lake District. There's a difference there, isn't there?
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that the fan base doesn't seem to be educated for me a lot of the times. Millwall were on an amazing run. Millwall, at a good time. I don't know what it is. I think because of this run where everyone just thinks like we're brilliant all of a sudden and that as well, and we can't be beaten. Anyone we have for brain knew that Millwall away were always going to be a difficult game. We'd have given anything for a point. They were miles better. Should have won by 4 or 5 as keeper. He's been the best player in the last 2 games. And that happens though, we're not going to carry on, winning games and getting draws, maybe when we shouldn't do, and etc. It's always going to come to an end. And Bournemouth, £70 million worth of talent. Their goals were fantastic. We didn't play well, but the first goal in these games are massive. And, we didn't get it. They got it. They showed their quality though. So got the right players and that as well. I don't know. I just think for me, again, overreaction. The world has ended. We're doomed and stuff and that as well. That could have easily happened yesterday. What people got to remember as well, Bournemouth have been struggling. Bournemouth were looking to put things right on that as well. They've got a quality side in that as well. They use the width of the pitch well. I was really impressed with Billing. More of our fans spent more time booing him than getting behind our team, which got on my nerves quite a lot, to be honest with you, and that as well. And Billing cocking his ear at the fans as the sensational assist for the 3rd and that as well. Don't know what he's done, to be honest, to deserve all that abuse, but that's another story. I think our fans have got it so wrong in the last couple of games and that as well, and I don't get where their head's at. It's like some people just giving it up. It's incredible. We've been on this amazing journey where we've come together as a team where we're doing this and we're taking video pictures and look at this. We've got our club back. People are proud as punch, posting on Facebook. They're getting in Leeds fans' faces. Look, the town are back and all this lot. And then we lose 2 games to 2 teams who were really, really good football teams and that as well. And the world's ended. It's just incredible. How can you just chuck it in like that? No wonder the players have gone out of the country to get rid of away from some of the absolute garbage that's been written in the last 24 hours. I can't, honestly, if we'd have lost to like Peterborough, imagine QPR's forum today or Blackburn's forum and that as well. They're on a stinking run, a lot worse than we are. But I just can't believe it. Why are their fans chucking it in? Why?
Like I said earlier, I think that we have quite a large percentage of the fan base that actually actively want us to not do well, because right at the start of the season, we seem to have quite a lot of people who are capable of changing, and as things change, and it's this team's not good enough, the crap, manager's crap, chairman's crap, everything's crap, and actually, now all of a sudden we're doing all right, and it's like, they take a back seat, but then as soon as something goes wrong, because they like to say 2 defeats, wheels are off, we're going to drop out of playoffs. And, don't get me wrong, I think everybody has been slightly cautious of this happening. I, for one, have always maintained pretty much all season that I'm kind of waiting for that drop off a cliff moment. But when we got to back into January, coming into the start of February, I sort of realised and thought, you know what, we are a decent side. Yeah, again, players on paper, probably not the best in the league, but we've been working as well as a unit. We've been putting effort. If people were, sort of saying on Twitter, players don't care, do no effort. That were a one-off yesterday for me. Some of those players have run through brick walls and overperformed for months this season. And where were these people when were they doing that? I didn't see any tweets out there saying, X, Y, and Z, brilliant, fantastic, running the socks off. But one bad game. I'm like,
4, right? After an hour, the worst players. 4-0, it shouldn't happen. What the hell's happening? This is incredible, blah, blah, blah. That's happened yesterday. We lost to a good side. We lost to a good side on Wednesday. That's happening, man. That's just football. Why do people have to look into it so much deep and start ripping holes in players and analysing this, that, and the other? There's no point. Just rip the video up, send them abroad like Carlos has done and that as well. And let's get back to it at Hull City. I just can't believe it. The world has ended and it's nowhere near ending, man. It might be ending for QPR. It might be ending for Blackburn. But it ain't for Huddersfield Town. And there's 7 games to go.
I think Matt, you've mentioned it 2 or 3 times that it's black and white now is football. You're either really, really good or really crap. There's no shades of grey anymore. And it's social media hyperballs. It's who can shout loudest. Who can shout loudest when we're good? Who can shout loudest when we're bad?
And his beard's got a shade of grey.
You know what I mean? No, it's like
so is mine.
It's extremism. I don't know if people just do it for retweets or likes or reactions of other people or what, but no one seems to be able to take a pragmatic view anymore and take a step back, like Kosi says, and look at Millwall and actually see that they're on a good run. And just because we've got 17 games unbeaten or whatever, don't give us the right to turn up at Den and just walk all over them and get 3 points. And sometimes, like you say, because his fans need to be a little bit more educated about other teams and not just sit in this little Huddersfield Town bubble and think, we've done 17 unbeaten, we're going to carry that on. We were never going to carry that on. I think if we'd have carried it on to end the season, we'd have done something like 30 odd games unbeaten, which is unbelievable. We did it under Clark and we got 43, but it's absolutely pie in the sky thinking that you're going to go that long without losing a game. And I think as a player, they've all got the social media and they all probably look on there and to see such a swing in opinion after 2 games, I'd be thinking, I've been working my bollocks all season here. I've had a couple of bad games or I've had a couple of bad defeats. And look at reaction, and I'd be thinking, if that were me, maybe they're different or whatever, but I'd be thinking, nah, this is bullshit, is this? And I think that'd spur me on though in some respects. So you never know, it might turn a negative into a positive. But I'd be thinking, nah, is this the place for me if I was some of them players?
I think what's weird, Pos, is like when I think back to the last home game that we lost, which were in November, for everyone's thing, not like January or February or December, November, when we lost a game. But none of the players played well that day against Middlesbrough. I thought against Millwall, Nichols, there are another 10. When we seem to lose, we seem to have no one. Like sometimes you get away with like 3 or 4 players playing. I think our team's got to be one where we're kind of a very hard-working team. We're a bit, obviously, with a fair bit of skill, but it's like you couldn't have picked against Millwall. There were Nichols you picked for a man yesterday. Same again, mate. He made another couple of good saves, but it's very rare. If we could have 3 or 4, then maybe. But we had so many off the game yesterday, like we did against Millwall and like we did against that Borough game. And it's hard in this division, I think, to do anything when you've got so many off. The stuff to me, there's no point saying O'Brien were bad and Leeds were bad. I watched the videos again sober today, and it's just like, oh God, where's he and where's he? But then it's like, I don't know. The only thing that I wondered, Matt, I don't know what you think, but I was expecting 1 or 2 changes. He seems to have, I don't know, we kind of gone back to you criticised him before, especially last season when he's got a settled 11 or 12 or what have you, and then no one else comes in. But I expected a lot more freshness in that team, yesterday. And on one hand, I was thinking, wow, what a bench to bring all these things out of right. But suppose the game were dead before we could even do any of that. But I suppose everything's just easy in hindsight, isn't it? But I were looking for a bit more freshness. Maybe even I don't know, big ass for Tino is not really fit, but I don't know, Pippa or even Rhodes or something a bit different. To be fair, I said Nichols, Ward were good yesterday as well. I thought they were really good. Yeah. So there were 2 that were on the game for me.
I don't know who you would drop. Do you know with
Water yesterday.
The run that they've been on, I generally don't know who you would have. I think if Turton hadn't have played, I think everyone would have been going, "Where's Turton, the ginger cafu? He's been brilliant lately." I think everyone would have called for it. The centre backs, I thought he probably got that right because Pearson and Lees have been fantastic together lately. Colwell, we know how good he is, but he's had a spell out, and Pearson and Lees have been excellent, keeping clean sheets. Toffolo's, got a lot of form back.
Matt, they had the extra days rest, and we didn't. And don't you think, especially the way Wednesday? But I suppose it is just easy, innit, to say
maybe
this.
They had the travel. I don't know. I don't really know. I think there's a couple of. I just thought there's a couple of players look really jaded, and I thought Millwall exposed a lot of flaws. I think I've seen quite a lot of flaws in what we do, We've seen a lot of good stuff as well, but I think there's a lot of weaknesses that we've got as a team. Everyone's got weaknesses, obviously, apart from Fulham, by the looks. And I thought Millwall really sort of exposed them quite wildly. I thought Carlos got the system wrong, to be honest, against Millwall. I didn't really like the return of the back three, but I didn't have any issues really with the lineup or the system that he employed. It's just we just couldn't get near them. We were beaten by a far better side, a side that were up for it. We just didn't get in the faces like we have been doing, and like I thought, we just looked mentally and physically a little bit fried. And John Russell's looked really tired last couple of games, but Carol Eiting's carried an injury as well, so you can't just replace them. So I think the international breaks just come at a great time for us. And what we really need to do, I did a little bit for the Second Tier podcast earlier, and one thing I thought I'd just throw in at the end was how amazing that the last promotion team were. And I'm not comparing the two, but they were fantastic at just drawing a line under a bad result or drawing a line under adversity and bouncing back and coming back. And we just need to really take a leaf from that now and just, regroup, regather, have a little bit of time together and just work on a couple of things. And, Hull City away, they're up and down. It's a good chance to bounce back, isn't it? And if we bounce back against Hull, then it puts us in a really good position going into those 3 games at Luton, Middlesbrough, and who's the other one? QPR, isn't it? And after those three games, we will know if we're going to be a top 6 team or not. I would imagine. And we've just got to really set that up, haven't we? Like I say, draw a line under it. I'm really disappointed because I thought we let ourselves down a little bit in terms of not really being at it. But like Kosi says, these things do happen. You can't go 46 games, 100% firing. It happens. But I really just want to see a response now, and it's all about how we respond. And if we do respond, then we've got every chance going forward. If we don't respond, then we'll probably peter away into sort of 8th.
I think I would on the hype machine trying to good few rallying call on post on Saturday. But my kind of thought, well, are we the real deal? And but yeah, you can obviously write off second now. But I still can't come to that conclusion from yesterday that. That's it. We're kind of done it. That just wanted us to town out there yesterday. It won. That's not us.
No, we're not done. We're not done. We're not done at a level.
I mean, obviously all these newspapers, 5 things. There's some 5 things that, but it's like it's easy to jump to a conclusion, isn't it? That, and quite a few fans seem to have that say we're finished or what have you, and that as well. But I just think when there's so many playing just not well, and they were really, really good against the top team, I just think you've got to put that in B for bin, that game, and go again, man.
We've got a great bunch of players. Personality-wise, we've got a really great bunch of players, haven't we? That we love watching and getting behind, and we just got to. I've got tickets for Hull City. Hopefully everybody that can get tickets to go there and just get behind them. And the team need it. They need that extra lift, and why not come on to the crowd? I wanted to mention Jonathan Hogg as well. I know he had a bit of a stinker, didn't he, against Millwall? Looked like he was playing with an injury. But I thought we really missed him yesterday. I thought we really missed Jonathan Hogg, especially when Billing was pulling away from John Russell, we'll say. Pause, I saw your eyebrows raise up. He's pulled away into space, and that's really where Jonathan Hogg comes into his own, with his organisation and his leadership and making sure people are doing what they're supposed to do. He's the chief pointer, isn't he, Hoggy, And I just thought we at times where Bournemouth got on top, we lacked a little bit of leadership in the middle. I thought Tom Lees has been fantastic. He's made the error, hasn't he, for the second goal? It's uncharacteristic. I'm not going to hang him out or anything. These things happen, don't they? He could have missed that and we could have moved on, but it didn't. So I generally just thought Hoggy, his passing's been a little bit loose the last few games, but he brings that warrior, doesn't he? He brings the fight, and I just thought we needed that fight, against when we went 1 down, we just needed Hoggy in there just to rally a few people and really rattle a few cages. And I thought we missed him big time in that. But other than that, the crowd as well, there's a huge crowd there, over 20,000. The FML was open, which is unusual, probably muttering FML while they were sat in there, to be honest. And the stadium started to clear after 70 minutes. I think that's something you guys wanted to talk about. Town, despite Town were poor, let's not beat around the bush, but, for me, people pay their money and they're entitled to come and go when they like, within reason, for me. I'd like to see everybody stay till the end, get behind the team, and I do wish Huddersfield fans were a bit more partisan at times, but it is what it is. I think people perhaps felt a bit let down by the game and decided that they'd had enough and fancied a pint in the pub. It's just one of those things, isn't it? I didn't get too upset by it, but, a lot of people did online, didn't they, Pause?
Yeah, I suppose I had a bit of a rant about it. It's one of those things that's a bit of a bugbear with me. 24 hours later or whatever, probably calm down a little bit. But like I said a little bit earlier on, these players have given their all for the majority of this season. We've had an odd result where it's gone against us, and it might have been a little bit below par. But on the whole, every single player in that who's played for Town this season has exceeded anybody's expectations. I dare say you won't be able to find any fan that predicted that we'd be where we are after 39 games, sat in fourth position. And I just think it's a little. And will players notice? Will they care? I don't know. For me, if I were out there playing and I turned around and saw people streaming out, I don't know. It's one of them, innit? As you say, Matt, we were dire. We were never going to get back into the game, so why not get off for a pint and stuff like that? But I just think at the end, if people are there, it just shows the players that we believe in them a little bit. As they're walking around doing the little claps, you give them a bit of an encouragement. A bit of a come on lads, we know this is a one-off. Let's get back at it. And the walk down that tunnel with maybe a little bit of a different mindset than what they might have done when as they're going round the end, there's 6,000 or 7,000 in there. Maybe the club should stop doing these £10 ticket games that we're quite likely to lose. Maybe that'd be a better idea. Let's do these £10, against let's do it against Barnsley instead. When we might actually get a result, and these fans that come who have stayed away for a while, might actually get to see the more real Huddersfield Town. But yeah, I just think it's disappointing. I just think it's not a Huddersfield Town thing. I don't think you'd be hard pressed to find a full home end anywhere at 3-0 down after 70 minutes when you haven't laid a glove on the phone. It's probably more of an English style support than anything else. But yeah, it just annoyed me a little bit how so many people went, and I think because you were on a similar opinion.
Yeah, I'm a bit like you, Pods. I think maybe Liverpool stay till the end, but I think 91 other clubs, you got a stadium similar to that yesterday. It's just, for me, just assessment, really. Nice sunny day. The game's done. Yeah, we want everyone to stay in, but it's not 1920 here, but Chapman's team and what have you. Things have changed, and I don't have a problem with it and that as well. And I walked out of Premier League grounds at Chelsea, Liverpool and Spurs at half-time in our second season because it was done. We weren't going back. And I thought I could get a couple of pints and have a better afternoon in the second half, do whatever. So it's like, I don't have an issue with it. But yeah, obviously it'd be great if everyone were there and we'll support you evermore and all that. But I think that's the same just about everywhere else in England. It's just an English culture thing, I think, really. Just, yeah, kind of walk out. But it's, it was just a strange one, wasn't it? I know you mentioned there about the offers, but Cardiff we had an offer on, and look what a storming game that were and that. So you can't win them all, can you? But it's... I just think, I think even for the fans, it's a good thing just to have a little break this weekend, and we need to just get back on it and whole. And then last, it just seems to me, wow, we've got everything still to play for, man. And I was having a little dip into Blackburn and QPR's kind of forums today, see how they're thinking and that as well. And they think they can come again, them guys, but some lot of our lot don't, and I don't get it. I know it's like momentum and stuff, but. God, I suppose if you were probably doing a Danny Takes That Chance podcast in the promotion season, obviously we started the season after when, we got battered by Bristol City and there were an home game where we were awful as well. And
Burton.
I can't remember, but it's like...
Burton Albion, wasn't it?
Got beat by Burton, didn't
it? Yeah, 2-0.
Yeah, that were it. And you'd think, there's no way this team are getting promoted and it's kind of done and stuff and that as well. But I just like the fact that everyone's in the same... But Forest, Sheffield United are doing really well, but they lost the other week. I think the only thing was me pause is that I put a tweet out, then I even go behind, let's, but again, the atmosphere, and I think that's a British thing, mate, that as well. I think there's a few other teams might have a bit of backbone, but once one gone in, two gone in, that was it. Silence pretty much the rest of the game. I just worry that, say we go behind it. Luton and unbelievable. The Luton will bring a big following. They'll probably fill their end, to be honest, when we play them that Monday night. And it does worry me that they're going to set the lead, maybe QPR or Luton in this game, and that's going to be flat. We we just need to be better off the pitch. And well, people might be shouting at me, so well, hang on a minute, the players have got to give the fans something to get by. I think you've got to kind of change the rules a little bit when we're in this, where we are in this position and that as well. I can get it if we're losing every other week like we did in the relegation season, all these crap 2 seasons we've had before this one, but I just worry that I don't know. I just want to see things different. But this is how we're wired up. Really, if it's not happening on the pitch, we're not winning. People drift off to get a pint or pie, get out of the ground, even get on players' backs. And I just think we've got to try and park all that. I think, can we all have a refresh, players and fans, for these last 7 games? Because I didn't like some of the vibes yesterday, mate.
Yeah, I think you summed it up pretty well. I know, Andy, you were going to half time as well, don't you? I don't know what it was like a little bit further back where you were. You buggered off as well.
82 minutes, but I'm going to blame my son who'd underclubbed in clothing and was freezing.
It was cold, wasn't it?
It was absolutely bloody freezing. I warned your son. I started to, and it was like, oh yeah, let's just get home. I got home half an hour earlier than we normally would do, thanks to my son freezing. But I can't add anything to it than what you guys have said. Really, I think there's that. It just felt a bit hopeless when we went that one. The air went out of the balloon for us because it potentially could have been such a big game. It would have made a real difference in the quest for second place, and you could just tell that the belief had gone from the players, and as that belief went from the players, it went off the belief sort of dissipated off the pitch as well. It's just dispirited, but we're just going to, like, because he says, we're just going to forget it. It's done. It's history. We can't change it now. We just got these 7 big games to go, and let's just see what happened. And a Blades mate of mine was on WhatsApp at 10 to 7 this morning. Oh, look at the Terribles. They're falling apart, aren't they? Well, hello. He lives in Newcastle, and the bloody internet don't work in Newcastle when Blades lose, but it always works when they win. So he messaged this morning, and I looked at their running, and they've got both Bournemouth and Fulham to play. So, it's not over yet. It's not over yet at all. And think about the last 5 years, what have we had? We've had, four seasons of either fighting against Premier League relegation or Championship relegation. And we'd have snapped people's hands off to be in this situation with 7 games to go. The only thing we can control now is what we do going forward. And like Matt said, if you got a ticket for Hull, get there. Just do your best, and let's see what happens. You never ever know. This could be just that blip that we had that blip after we qualified for the playoffs last year. We just that in 16-17 we stopped playing, didn't we, tactically, so we could to save the team. Maybe we're just saving the team for this last 7 games. I don't know. Maybe it's a Conrad absolute masterclass. Yeah, we'll throw it because he always throws games against Bournemouth, doesn't he? He threw it that game last year when he nearly rang me up, and I nearly got a game against Bournemouth away last year. So maybe it's just a tactical masterclass. I'm just clutching at straws, aren't we? You always find what you're looking for. If you think town is shit, you'll see reasons why. If you think they're brilliant, you see reasons why. If you think fellow people in the crowd are shit, you'll find reasons why. If you think, whatever, it's just done and dusted.
I'd sooner have the blip now, though. I'm sure you guys would agree. Let's have it now with 7 to go, rather than continue this run. Potentially get points on board. Over the next maybe 3 or 4, or the past 3 or 4 games, and then get 3 games to go and it's still a little bit tight, and then you drop out at your playoffs. If you've got a blip now, you've got a good chance to sort it out before end of season. Whereas if this blip comes, in 3 games time, you won't. So
how many points do we think we need to be definite for the playoffs? I've got 12 points in me and 75 points.
75.
I don't know. Will that be enough this time, or
I think 75
so.
will probably do it. Yeah.
I just felt when we were on that great run, I just felt we had 2 defeats in us, and I was kind of hoping to be separate, just for kind of confidence thing. The fact we had 2 defeats, it's almost like kind of get out of jail for it, not the right word, but they're two defeats we could afford probably, but they've got now and the pressure's on. All Jaws no good there, man. We need to win, but luckily they're absolute dog dirt.
I said that because if someone, if you take this, what is it, 7, 8, 9, 20 game run, is it? If you include these 3 results, and put these 3, if you said you've just lost 3 in 20, people will be like, Jesus, that's decent.
I'll snap your hands off
because you've done 3 in a row, or you've got 3, perceivably bad results in a row, and it's doom and gloom. But dot these 3 games in West Brom, Millwall, and Bournemouth within that run of 17. People are looking at league in a totally different way. All of a sudden, because it's in a row, wheels have come off and shut stadium down. Don't bother playing rest of the season and all that sort of stuff. Whereas if put these in and we've just won last 2, everyone's a totally different mindset.
Yeah. I think going back to what Matt said, though, it does frustrate me. Jonathan Hong's got some hammer. I mean, obviously his errors have been glaring, but the guy deserves better than some of the shit that's been dished out on the socials. And I could be wrong here, but I'm sure I've read, it were Hogg that kind of held his hands up for yesterday, saying I couldn't have done his justice, Gaffer, to start because he's got a kind of an injury where normally kind of Carlos would let him kind of carry on. I just think that shows the class of the guy. Absolute legend of Huddersfield Town. A lot of others would be like, I think of myself, I want to play. It's a massive game. There's 20,000 in there. I'll play even if I'm 80, 70% fit. He thinks of the team. I just think he deserves a lot more respect than some of the stuff that's been said and that as well. And, people writing him off and that as well. He's just scandalous, man. The guy has been sensational for Huddersfield Town, but he's just not what we need, stuff like that.
How long we had him, mate? 8 years?
9.
And how many? 9 years. I think the guy's got a bit of credit in the bank, hasn't he? From in my book, he has for any mistake that he makes. Yeah, it might end up costing us a point at West Brom and so on. Yeah, he makes mistakes. He's getting older. He's coming towards the end of his career, but the lad's got plenty of credit in the bank for me and what he's done for this club. So, all power to Johnny Hogg. And like you say, I think we missed him because their midfield gave our midfield an absolute schooling yesterday. Billing, as much as I dislike it, I was one of the people that were booing him. For me,
your fault, Andy.
Yeah, I had a word with him as they were doing that warming up thing. I was giving him a bit of feedback, and my son sat there going, "God, Dad, this middle-aged man's giving. Are you going to try today, Phil? Are you going to try today?" And I'm like embarrassing myself, but for me, that's unforgivable. If you put those blue and white stripes on and you don't give 100% every single time you rock out there, that is unforgivable for me. Whether you've come through the academy or not, I don't care. So, and plus, he's an opposition player. That whatever he's done, whoever walks back in that stadium wearing another team's colours, for me, sorry, I'm not on your side. If you played well and you respected the club, if Johnny Hogg came back, I'd give him a clap at the end, but I'd be giving him crap all the way through the game, and that's what supporting's supposed to be about for me. So
I think what's funny, Andy, though, because you're going to want to cheer Billy. No, now we're looking at some of the fixtures today, and Bournemouth have got such a big say in what happens this season.
Yeah, good point.
Fulham and there were another team as well that it's. I think the only thing is like hopefully they don't think they've cracked it as well, so they kind of put on full pelt. But I mean, I hate Brian Orton with a passion, but he always used to say it was what we do that counts. He used to do me head in every pulse interview.
Yeah, did.
But it's true. So forget about anyone else. We need 12 points. Forget about the other scores because it's starting to get on my. I'm as bad as anyone's like, so losing. Today you're clutching for the positive, and QPR Peterborough delivered that. But can we get 12 points in these games? That it's just as simple as that, and it's.
If you look at fixtures, and I think we definitely can. I've just had a quick look there. There's winnable games in there. And you've got Barnsley at home. You've got your two home games against your playoff rivals. So you're at home. So you think you're in with a fighting chance there. So that's potentially.
I think what will be interesting.
Will they be up for Bristol City last match of the season? What have they got to play for? So,
I think what will be interesting for me, Pos, is what attitudes will QPR and Luton come to Huddersfield with? Yeah. Will they have to win? Because Bournemouth came to win yesterday, no doubt in my mind. Millwall, obviously they were at home and once it's up. It'll be interesting, won't it? We're kind of used to teams not kind of coming and being positive, but I suppose it's so difficult.
I don't know. I think it's now silly, but would you, if someone offered you a point against in all 3 of those games, so you play 3 rivals and you don't lose to any of them, would that be a disaster?
Depends if we won it. Depends if we won the other 3. We need to beat Hull, Barnsley, and Bristol City, and
But that's what I think was so gutting about the Bourne, because it wasn't just it'd be the mental compass, the jackpot, almost like you've it's almost like a 6-point swing. Even though we probably wouldn't have caught them, I still believe not. Even if we'd have beaten, but it's like that stadium's got. It's kind of gone the polar opposite, and it's like the total belief that we could go up and we could, we're getting plus and we're going to be there. Now all of a sudden, it's like for a lot of people, we're done and stuff. That's what I was trying to kind of say in them tweets, trying to build it all up. Maybe it's just a bit of a psychological nightmare, but hopefully you can just write it off as a, petrol in the tank's gone, and they were really good and that as well. And but you can't deny and you can't lie to people who are watching this and listening to this. Party does think as Huddersfield Town's race being run, and a lot of people will be seizing onto that, especially winding us up on other teams and stuff. But if I were a player, I'm like, right, okay, I'll have a bit of refreshment, and I'm going to show these buggers that
we're old. Thing is though, Kosi, we're old bastards. We saw Town under Brian Horton. We saw Town under Brian Horton in the top 6 all season, drop out, finish 8th. You're as old, don't get away. And then we saw the Jacko side in the top 6 all season, even top at one point, drop away at the end. On Steve Bruce's side, we've been here and seen it before, not for a while, but we've seen it. So I think there's still a little, PTSD with Town fans, which I think often, rears its head on occasion when things go against us. But we'll see. I think we need to bookend the Bournemouth stuff. I think, Kosi, you wanted to have a rant about the catering didn't you, in the South Stand, and I think you might have mentioned something about Daniel Sinani as well.
But honestly, I'm not saying it because we're sponsored by him. But honestly, I just thought sunshine. We're not doing so well, so I'll have a pint of Magic Rock lager and a sausage roll if I could find it. But honestly, the South Stand is carnage at half time. There's 2 queues, kind of. There's one kiosk one side and one kiosk the other. But it's like, it looks absolute chaos. It's a bit like, when you go to Manchester Airport and it's like, shit, is that Terminal 4 or 5 or is it 6 queuing and that as well? You haven't got a clue. And it's people pushing in cheekily because they know, excuse me, so like they're trying to get to the side, but they're trying to sneak in. But to cut a long story short, they had one card, because you can't play by money. So you had one card thing, to pay with between 3 queues, and it was chaos. And then there was one guy's card that yesterday that it didn't accept because chip and pin, it's so annoying, isn't it? Because now you've got for every 8 things you've got to type your pin in. So he'd buggered off. Yeah. Come back here. But then they were like, so basically loads of people didn't get served in time for the second half, which might not have been a bad thing, but it's just nothing major. But because the food were nice when I eventually got it and the beer, but come on, get some more card readers in there and sell some more beer.
Yeah, because at least you didn't do what I did and queue up and forget that it was card only and try and hand them some cash.
Mate.
And turn you away and you haven't got a card. So at least you won up on me, mate. At least you managed to get some for your trouble.
Oh, man, mate, honestly, it was that bad last night. I had a night out round and Huddersfield singing karaoke with Scott Bradley. I had to do anything to try and get rid of the memories and that as well, but it's... But I think, again, just bumping into random Town fans last night and that as well, I think people were a bit down, but ready to go again for all. And, the battle. What were the banner said, Pos, that you held up yesterday?
Never give up the fight, mate.
Yeah, which kind of...
That's the mentality that we need to have, in it.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And that as well. And because it'd be great now, because between now and all, Huddersfield are done, Huddersfield are finished, they've lost 3 in a row, including the Forest
3 out of 4. 3 out of 4, yeah.
So 3 out of 4, yeah, it's like they're not the real deal. Honestly, the players will be wounded. They'll be up for it, man. So honestly, if we could beat Hull and then, well, what a game that's going to be.
Anyway, you've drifted here. You've drifted from payment cards to. But anything on Sinani? Anything on Sinani before I go to the chat from everybody waiting patiently online?
Play him in middle.
Was that the thing? He did play in the middle, didn't he? That was it. He did play in the middle, but Thomas couldn't track the wing back, so they swapped them over, didn't they? But
Jesus, that touch point, that Matt, that I put today on our internal communications channel.
Internal communication channel.
Honestly, called WhatsApp. But yeah, no, it just. But again, he's becoming a bit of a scapegoat now. I've noticed Hogg and Sinani. They're the easy targets at the moment.
It's a difficult one, is Sinani, because he goes through the game doing so little, and then he has flash points, doesn't he? That I think I can see Town fans struggling to take to him because he does work hard, but there's like little bits of quality rare and often, and I think it just riles the odd person out, doesn't it? just kind of
decent, but everyone hated him.
Do you remember that shot he had? Do you remember that shot he had in the first half, Sinani, as well? It was absolute. I think he kicked it about 60 yards in the air and it went backwards, didn't he? But that volley, but never mind. I think he's out.
It was like Bakuna at Stoke, wasn't it? Like Bakuna at Stoke's own goal.
Yeah. It just kind of seemed. It just there were that and the Ollie Turton where Solanke got in at the start and Turton just sort of kicked it against Jade Anthony's backside and it just landed for Dom Solanke 10 yards out and Nichols had to save it. It was just those points where you just thought, do you know what, not our game today. But let's go to what people are saying online. So thanks to everybody who is listening to us waffle on this evening. Remember, if you could like the episode and subscribe to the podcast, it really helps put us under the eyes of more Huddersfield Town fans, and that's really nice for our egos. So please do that. That would be great. It does keep me happy. It keeps me in satisfaction. Yeah. So let's have a look at what people were saying. So thanks for everybody who has put something online. On Smoke Jad says much needed international break on the horizon with a little tear in his eye. Christian Kudarenko says the game on Saturday was dishwater. Terrier 7-2 says players look shattered and Nichols kept it from being a proper hiding. This end of season is going to show the lack of any quality brought in January. Mark Harrison says we lacked a bit of leadership on the day to shift them. And Pearson, was that a bookie, Cosy, back in the day? Says, was it in Cleckheaton? Was it John Pearson? Oh, Jack Pearson. That was the one.
Yeah, and a bad strike for Sheffield Wednesday, mate. Oh, yeah.
Jack Pearson, yeah.
We were simply outclassed by a very expensively assembled Bournemouth team. Nothing to be ashamed of. The break should do us good. Bez says, agree with Cosy. Our fans are deluded.
Matt.
Cosmo.
I just want to come back in on that. The January, I think Terry 7-2 and that as well. I kind of brought it with David article the other day and that as well. Tino's a big issue for me. And
it's not fit.
The club, yeah, but why have we got him in? The club's either been sold a load of bollocks from Chelsea or him or what have you, because everyone's looking for that instant impact from a Premier loan signing and stuff and that as well. But if I'd have told you guys that, right, we're bringing the guy in January and, he ain't going to be fit coming into April, and you just wouldn't have done it, would you? And I know you could say, well, it's easy now, but I think there's got a question got to be answered here and that as well. What is going on? And one or two people were kind of saying, well, when he's come on, he's looked like nowhere near and stuff, but when he's getting 20 minutes here and there and stuff, and to be honest, he's hardly touched the ball after them, just lumping it up to him. It's so frustrating, really, because we really needed this Premier loan signing. He really needs to hit the ground running, and to be honest, he's just got to be fitness, and you can't have an £18 million price tag on you and just be doing these 20-minute cameos. It's so gutting, and it could be so costly. Could be so costly.
They've got to remember they're throwing him on. They're throwing him on when shit's falling around him as well. He's come on at 3-0 down against Bournemouth. He's come on when everyone's losing the red against West Brom. He's not coming on in an ideal world, is he? He's got the international break now to get up to speed, and we really need Tino Anjorin to be the player that we hoped that we signed, at Hull. And, he needs to really sort of come in at that point and hit the ground running after the international break. Otherwise, it's not been the greatest of decisions. But, he's still got time to turn it round, and hopefully he's got 2 or 3 games in the playoffs as well to show us, hasn't he, that he's a 17, 18 million pound player that Southampton were interested. So
we'll get a winner at Wembley, cause
yeah, that'll be that. Yeah, running behind the goal. Where's that ball, bastard? And then just go, give me some of that.
I think the trouble is, Matt, if you're Carlos, you're not bringing on any convictions on your bench and to I can't remember, put the ball into someone in the box and it was saved and that as well. It Ward, I think, wasn't it? But yeah, it's so annoying. Is this and the trouble is, how are you going to get him games? And back in the day, Andy, the old Central League, the Pontins League, or what have you, you could play in that. But David did say, can he get him some beating? We can't just keep doing this 10, 20 minutes. He
needs some proper games, doesn't he?
Yeah, it does, mate.
The whole point of having a B team is where you could arrange games at quite short notice as well. So maybe they need to arrange a couple to get him through 90 minutes. Maybe if he's not up to speed, but I think questions do need to be asked if he's not ready after the international break. I think that's the key. But let's move on before we see Terrier 7-2. Mike, he's retracted a message now. We've been talking that long. He's gone, I've had enough of this. So let's have a look. Yeah, Bez says if we implode from here and finish 10th, then we've had a good season. If we do okay and manage to finish 6th or 7th, then we've had an unbelievably great season. I think there's a difference there between 6th and 7th, to be honest. Bez, 6th would be great, 7th would be pretty gutting, I think, from where we've been, but still, in the grand scheme of things, a good one. Phil Master says players look physically and mentally shattered, maybe just need that international break. Jay Singh says, strange how reactionary our fan base is. We lose 2 games and our season is apparently over. Really don't understand how that works. Sorry, Jay, I am depressed over those 2 games, and especially the manner of the defeat. I will try and pick up, I promise. Paul Hitchinson says, I think that international break has come at the right time. Think was a bit of a hangover from Wednesday night. We got beat by the better side yesterday. Town were chasing shadows all game. And then Terrier72, conflict. Terrier72 says, disagree with Pos, the shithouse. Sorry, I've added the shithouse. The full house showed the players, the fans care, but the last 20 minutes was a training session for Bournemouth that I wasn't going to stay and watch after a 220-mile round trip. Do you know, if you've travelled that far, you know, you can come and go as you wish. It's a long way, is that? Paul Hitchinson says, yeah, Mike, get back to Huddersfield. I'm sure. Bless him. Paul Hitchinson says, hope Town use this time to refocus the group and regroup and go again to try and secure a playoff spot. And I stopped till the end. Always do. I stopped till the end and I sat there for 5 minutes afterwards sulking and just staring at the pitch as well. But Phil Marston says, I'll never criticise any fan who leaves early. There could be many reasons for them to do so. That's a good one. I used to have a mate who used to have to dash 10 minutes before to get the final train back over to Leeds. He was at uni at Leeds and he always had to get a specific train on a night game. And, you know, there are reasons why people do have to leave. You never know, do you? So Bez5678, 2468 motorway says, got to admit I left early in 89 minutes 30 when my arse left the seat. Jack Pearson, I'm going to call him from now on, says, never left early. I've paid for 90 minutes of football. I'm too tight to leave without getting my money's worth. That's a proper Yorkshireman.
A
proper. That really appeals to you, does that, Pos?
That's only why I stay, Matt. You know what I'm like. I'll get my money.
You're probably sat there working out your pounds per minute.
You're probably there now.
You're probably sat there going, this referee's cut me short here. There should be at least 8 minutes overtime. Overtime, going American. 8 minutes injury time, and working out is cost you 47 pence or something. Bez also says, Hull, Barnsley, Bristol, we need to beat them one out of the rest, but it'll never happen that way. We'll probably beat Middlesbrough, QPR and Luton. Phil Marston, old adage, every game is a cup final, and Jay Singer says, agreed. Sinani massively scapegoated. Seymour stick hurled at him after yesterday than Tom Lees, who had a far worse game than Donnell. Don't understand it. It's just, like I say, Donnell Sinani is just one of those players who just, I think it's hard to take to because he's so in and out of the game all the time. It's not laziness at all. It's just, I think the position he plays sometimes is just, you know, you're either in the game or you're out of it. It's a difficult position. Bez567 says Sinani's first touch seems to have deserted him lately. Max says, regarding atmosphere, taking the Premier League out of it, the atmosphere was best under Wagner when we dominated games. Perhaps fans find our more pragmatic style of play harder to get behind. It's probably something in that because we tend to have around 45% possession, and it does leave you a little bit more heart in mouth, doesn't it, than you sort of dominating the game. But there we go. Terra7N2 says, ha, 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 ha. I presume that's in relation to moving back to Huddersfield. You know, come on, Mike, we want you back in the hood. But that's it for thanks to everyone online. Like I say, if you could like it and subscribe, that would be amazing. 2 people have liked it so far, so thank you. Thanks for that. My appeals have fallen on deaf ears. Right, guys, we've got a little bit left to talk about. We've got the Millwall game. Millwall, we've talked a little bit about this. I was a little bit upset that we were run ragged by Murray Bloody Wallace, over at left centre-back. He absolutely ran rings around us. And I remember the Murray Wallace who used to run through his hips and run like Pinocchio. Do you know what I mean? He's obviously a far better player now than what he was when he left, but, he used the ball very well. And I honestly thought that Millwall were excellent in midweek. I thought they were genuinely very good. I thought the 2 midfielders, George Saville and Billy Mitchell, were outstanding. I thought they outworked us. What was really impressive about Millwall was they played that back 5 shape, and as soon as they lost the ball, they got back into that shape. And we really struggled to sort of play. We couldn't possibly get behind them because of the shape that they were in. We had to play in front of them. And like I said earlier, I think Gary Rowett sort of tactically beat Carlos Corberán a little bit. And I felt Carlos kind of got the system wrong. I understand he wanted an extra man in there for set pieces, so he brought in Levi Colwill. But it left us really exposed down that right-hand side where Scott Malone got in time and time again behind Sorba Thomas.
You're like Cafu, wasn't he?
Oh yeah. He wanted his song back, didn't he? I think that was it. He was motivated by the song. But the space.
Matt Mason Bennett were brilliant as well, mate. He was good.
They were all great.
All the time in the world, but it was quality.
They were all very good. Millwall were excellent, and then they went and lost to Stoke, didn't they, yesterday? But there were a few things like Lewis O'Brien on the left hand side of midfield. I didn't like that from Carlos. I thought that was a bit of a mistake. And our struggles, like I said, defensive structure, Millwall were outstanding, and they fairly beat us. And after the first 10 minutes, when we were really good, we were really sharp, weren't we? They just got to grips with us and just held us at arm's length for the rest of the game. And fair play, Millwall, you slags.
I think for me, Matt, the big question to come out of Wednesday night is, what the fuck is Husky chocolate? Has anyone ever had a bar of that?
Dave Hartrick tweeted that, didn't he?
Anywhere.
No,
Where is it sold? Is it in Lidl or some of those cheap ones? I don't know. I've never seen it.
I went to London during the week and I saw Willy Wonka bars, and that's it. That's completely made up, completely. So I've never seen a Husky bar.
I'm holding my hands up to blame myself. I sent on another group out wherein I said, thank God Benny Kafobe is playing for Millwall, otherwise we'd be getting beat tonight when he missed them early chances. So lo and behold, he turns into peak peak Andy Cole at his best and that as well. He had a right game, didn't he? It's all my fault for
we're class.
I think Kafobe's message got passed to Gary Rowett and they were like, right, we'll show that bald dickhead what it's about. But contenders, I think what would disappoint me, again, I saw people putting on messages saying, they're not a good side and
they are.
Lost to a I never saw that. I thought they were really good, but again, just because we're on this run, don't mean to say that we're going to go there and win and stuff. And yeah, we were under par, but I just think there's a Razor song that I think they deserved a little respect. And I want to. You want to see your team, don't you? Throw punches. You want to see your team go down fighting, but it's not going to happen every game and that as well. And I think that's just the most disappointing thing in the last two, just the energy levels and.
Right, Kosi, all that talk of Husky chocolate has just broke the stream and broke the internet, so we're back on now. So sorry about that, everyone. Apparently, Kosi, Husky chocolate is available online, but it's all sold out. That's why you don't see Husky chocolate anywhere. And they do some protein shakes, apparently, 20 grams of protein. So there we go. There's a job there. So Millwall. So let's roll back in. Cos, you were about to fire off, and we like I said, we were run ragged by Murray Wallace a little bit and friends. Again, this is just Millwall. It's just such an awkward, horrible place to go, and Millwall fans were bang up for it as well, weren't they? And it just wasn't our night.
No, not the greatest night we've had, and that's all. It reminded me a little bit of the playoff game when Robbie Williams tried to get that ball and what have you and that as well. But yeah, you can see why they are where they are. On a decent little run and that as well, Millwall. And honestly, it's so exciting. Although again, it's tempered yesterday. The end of the world is nigh. But honestly, how many teams is in there? I mean, are we ruling Coventry out? I think danger, isn't it? I think Coventry are out of it now. They're going to have to come up with something amazing to get in. But I think anyone under that is still got a chance to get the end of season dance, really. And we're right in there. But then you're right, Pos. Them Luton, them two home games are so big. Luton, QPR. You take 4 points. I know you're on about 2 draws and stuff and that as well. But it's the Borough game is. I'm amazed. Sky. There's a lot of people I know that have not booked train tickets and stuff yet because they're convinced Sky are going to shift it. But surely. And the fixture's been announced up to mid-April though, or not? I'm sure they have.
Yeah, I don't think they can change it now, can they?
Yeah. Sticking at that Easter Monday, but
TV?
I
think they will have announced that middle of the one if they've done.
Yeah, but wow, there'll be a right crowd. There's Easter Monday in it that game, so no, all to play for. But tactics are going to be fascinating, aren't they? Teams are they going to? I don't think you get many coming for points and stuff now, Andy. I don't know what you think, but back in the day, teams playing for a draw. I don't think that happens in our division. It's just, people just kind of go for it, really, and that as well.
Yeah.
And, we've ended up with a lot of draws, but I don't think, like for example, West Brom, we didn't play for a draw. It just happened, didn't it? I don't think you get that now.
I think you're right. And I think that also teams will have seen now how we can struggle against that sort of quick press. So they're going to think, well, why should we sit back in that low block or whatever it's called? because if we get on our toes and get at them, there's a chance they'll make mistakes and they'll not be able to play their brand of football anyway. So I think we're going to see a lot more of teams coming at us, particularly at home, just to see what they can make happen. Because if you sit back, we will eventually pick you off. But if you put us under a bit of pressure, I think we struggle a bit. So I think we'll see a bit more of that.
Yeah. So what else do you want to see more of? So for me, I want to see more of Carol Lighting. We brought him in with a little bit of fanfare, didn't we, in January? He's been out with a foot issue over the last couple of games. John Russell's come in, done really well. I think he's probably looked a little bit jaded last couple of games. But for me, I think it's probably a good time to reintroduce Carol Lighting into midfield, maybe alongside Hogg and O'Brien in a 3. I don't know what you guys think of that, and put down Tino Andrew in as well for the international break, but we discussed that a little bit earlier. And in terms of, we'll wrap up with a playoff picture as well. I still fancy and always have fancied Forest, Middlesbrough and Sheffield United to get in there. I've always really, for me, they're 3 of the best sides in the league. I've never really been sold on us in the top 6, although the Fulham and, after Fulham, I think we were all quite excited and we're thinking, do you know what, we can do this. I do think we're in the mix. I'd give us a sort of a 50-50 chance, but, we have to beat Hull next up and, do the business in 1 or 2 of the games against QPR, Luton and Borough, etc. But, what about you guys? Would you, over the international break, is there anything that you want to see us do? Anything you want to see more of, going forward? And, playoff-wise, are we going to do it? Let's end on that. Go pause. He's looking. Or Andy.
I think we will not do it. I think there's other teams around us, the Forest, the Boroughs, the Blades, that'll. I think we will just end up just slipping out. Unfortunately, I obviously hope not. But I've been saying all year, we're not going up. We're not getting in the playoffs. So I've got to stick to that. I just don't think we've got the quality. I think there's better teams than us, but we'll. I hope massively that I'm wrong, but that's my fear, unfortunately.
I think we're coming out of the Riverside Stadium Easter Monday. I think we'll know it's fate. I know. Yeah. I just think that's when we'll know. And again, I'm not looking at others. I know what you're saying, Andy, but I just think, can we get them 12 points to do it? It just feels a long way off at the moment, doesn't it? But obviously, if we're recording this after Cardiff, we're getting second and stuff. I think part of me just wonders if his race is run. But then I'm looking at these guys on the bench that can change it for us. I think, like you mentioned there, I still ain't given up on Tino, but I just think we might need to see some others. The other guys, the consistent guys, has took us so far. I think we might need to see something extra from the sidelines. Maybe Karoma having a bit of the form of last season, or I don't know, Pippa doing something mad. It's exciting, but it will feel disappointing not to be in there, won't it? When it should do, really. But it needs to be a good Easter for us, and that. If I remember rightly, let me get this right. When we went up before, Preston were that Good Friday game, wasn't it? When we had that amazing late victory, wasn't it? Or was it a draw? When Moyes had the penalty, we won, and then I'm trying to think where we kind of went next and that as well. But that were a big Easter. I just think them games are huge, and I've rabbled on a bit, but I haven't committed ever really. Andy, you've put your colours there. I do think we're going to miss out. I do, but let's hope not. Pause. You can't say we're not.
I think we'll sneak in. I think we'll just sneak in. I think we've been up there all season. Whether or not we then get through is another discussion, depending on where we play. But I'd just like to massively say that if we don't go, I hope Luton do, because I'll just piss everybody off. Oh, man.
Do you think
they've got about 10 players out?
I love it though, because it'll be a fairy tale dream and all that stuff. But it'll just imagine.
Plus, they've got half a team missing, and they're doing what they're doing. Like
I'm just looking at the table now. The stats third.
Look, everyone's missing. They're injured. They've hardly got any players. It's amazing.
Imagine those, Man City and that going down Luton and changing rooms that have like not been painted for 25,000 years or whatever. And I'd love to see it. I know people talk about teams like Huddersfield and Bournemouth and teams that I won't say Bournemouth because Matt will get started ranting on about them, but you know what I mean, like these inverted commas little teams. But Luton genuinely are that sort of team out there that it's just unbelievable if they get there. So
Luton fans think they're a bigger club than us, by the way. So so there you go.
They can be wrong.
Didn't they win Milk Cup or get to final in 80s? I remember that.
They had David Plate. Brian Orton was in midfield for them, weren't they, last time they were decent? But
Rick Hill.
Yeah, David Plate was manager, wasn't he? But I think it's one of those, and if Luton get themselves a spanking new stadium that they're after, then they'll probably be a completely different club, won't they? But I'd like them to go up if we don't.
I think if I had to put money on it, which I won't because I'm too tight, I'd say we'll get in playoffs, but then lose in semi-final.
Would Luton be one of the first clubs to? I think they might be the first club to go from non-league to the Premier League. I know football didn't start before '92 and Wimbledon did it, but would they be the first one to be in non-league and get to the Premier League? Possibly. Would they be? That'd be interesting. I think that
Bradford are usually non-league and they've gone in. So
are they reapplied for re-election? Are they applied for re-election yet? Then, so but I think that's a good thing. I think it's a really interesting one because I think last week after West Brom, I think we'd have all been like 75%. Yeah, we'll get in the playoffs, and this week couple of hits in the old crown jewels, and we're all sort of like going, oh no, we're 7th, 8th, but. I've been like that all season. I've been like all season we're going to finish 7th. Just I think it's a bit of self-protection in some ways, because you don't want to put all your eggs in the basket and get carried away and then have your heart broken. That's that's what happens for watching Huddersfield Town, isn't it? You end up getting your heart broken more often than not. So I think there's potentially some heartbreak maybe on the way, but I hope not. I hope we get promoted. I hope we go up. And that's it. That's it for me. I want Huddersfield Town to be the best Huddersfield Town it can be, and that's in the Premier League. But what will be. At the end of the day, I think I have nothing more to say on this. No. You guys, because it looks like he wants to go to bed, I'll watch La Liga highlights from what he's missed in that second half there.
Yeah, bloody hell. What a team Barcelona. But Huddersfield Town though will be the Hull City. Let's fill that away end van and get behind it.
That's a ticket. Right, cheers, guys.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, and they're the pride of the town. And the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you can hear them say, who can beat the town today? And then the bells will ring so merrily, and every goal shall be a memory. So town, play up and bring that cup back to Huddersfield. So town, play up and bring the cup back to Huddersfield.